Greetings, welcome to the Metal Book Tower, and I have a very interesting video idea today. Don't pay attention to the noise outside. A lot of YouTubers, they film book recommendations based on the specific concepts, and I thought I would make mine. This is a little bit of fun video that I randomly decided to do. I thought of various rock and metal bands, some my favorite, some simply popular, some less known, and then I decided, why don't I recommend books based on your favorite band? I took into account various different factors. I took the themes, I took the atmosphere, and I took the certain elements into account that particular band and book have. And here we have, in this glass we have the papers with bands and the books you should read, what I would recommend to you. You are free to write down your own book recommendations based on your favorite band. I'm also filming this video in Russian, so there's going to be a different order in this video and in that video. And so let's get started. So I deliberately close my eyes for this. So the first band, Black Sabbath. Yes, I did think of Black Sabbath, and there is actually a certain book I'd recommend based on that choice. If your favorite band is Black Sabbath, you probably like some doomy stuff as well. You like your metal, dark and mysterious and doomy and slow. There is one book that fits this criteria, and the book is Children of Húrin by J.R.R. Tolkien. Like I said in my J.R.R. Tolkien collection video, this is the darkest book Tolkien has ever written. It's very doomy, very dark atmosphere. There's Morgoth, who put his curse on Húrin's entire family, and basically very doom metal material. I just think that the atmosphere is perfect if you are a Black Sabbath fan. Moving on. Okay, I'm taking out another paper, and the next is Dio, or even anything with Ronnie James Dio in it. Maybe if you like Dio, the band, you also like traditional fantasy with dragons, with your standard heroes and magic and so on. By the way, I forgot to mention that I select the books if I have read them, of course, and I like them. When I thought of Dio, it was kinda hard to pick a book, but then I decided that there is such a book, and that book is Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. So the first book resembles Lord of the Rings a lot. It has a dragon, or to be exact, Dragon Reborn. There's in a human form. You have your standard fantasy adventure and so on. Wheel of Time does seem like a classic fantasy, well, at least in the first three books. Very epic adventure, although it does get a bit darker as the series goes on. Moving on. Oh, sorry, I accidentally pulled out two, and then I decided to pull out the third one. Nightwish. If you like Nightwish, maybe you miss childhood. You probably love the atmosphere that Nightwish provides, but also you do think of childhood. You miss that, and you miss that childish wonder to some extent. And actually there is one book that I do want to recommend based on that band. The book is Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I just think that it does kinda have this a little bit of childish wonder, despite the fact that Peter Pan is a jerk. Oh, I also would recommend Alice in Wonderland too. I need to get that one. I read Alice in Wonderland, just I had a different edition at the time and I don't remember it that well, but Peter Pan I definitely recommend. Okay, what do we have? What do we have here? Metallica. Well, if you like Metallica, well, you just forget the atmosphere or anything. Just read whatever is mainstream at the moment. Follow trends. Who cares about the atmosphere or themes or whatever? As long as it's popular, you're free to read it. Unless it's fantasy, because fantasy is so bad, according to Metallica. Read anything popular except for fantasy. Moving on. Okay, next. What do we have here? Queen! Alright, this is going to be a bit of an odd choice. You would probably think that these two things do not mix together, but I somehow did mix them together. Queen is a band of diversity in their sound. You have a lot of different things and you can't categorize them. If you like Queen, I recommend reading something that combines a lot of different things together, and it somehow works. And the book is... You're going to be surprised. The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. Yes, you heard it. I recommend the Silmarillion to Queen fans due to the diversity. A lot of different pieces, they are bound together and they work. Yes, I know that the Silmarillion is a very complex book. Best thing about the Silmarillion is that there are lots of different stories with different tones and themes and whatever, they're bound together. It may be hard, but it kinda works. Odd choice, but that's what came to my mind. You are free to write your own recommendation in the comments. Nirvana. I think that Nirvana fans are more likely to read young adult books. And the thing about young adult books that they're just like classics, it's divided into very different genres. You have young adult thriller, you have young adult fantasy, and so on. To Nirvana fans, I'd recommend the book that came out around the time the Nevermind album came out. Well, I think it was a year later. It deals with the same themes that Nirvana does to some extent, and that book is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. And also, I think that as far as I remember, the main character, Charlie, enjoyed the same things Kurt Cobain did. Oh no, I just remembered that the book is set in 1992 and it came out in 1999. Sorry, I confused you, but it does correlate, the atmosphere and the themes. If you are definitely a Nirvana fan, I recommend Perks of Being a Wallflower. Kreator. Okay, this is a very interesting one. Kreator is a German thrash metal band. It's a band that sings about society, injustice, and so on. And in some songs like Extreme Aggression and Violent Revolution, you have this main character who is like society this, society that. I think I know the book that Kreator fans would like. It's Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I selected this book mostly because it features the main character who is against the world. The main character of Brave New World is like, oh, society so bad, it treats me so poorly, and the Kreator songs do reflect that. Moving on. Okay. So what we have next? Uriah Heep. Uriah Heep is a rock band from the 70s, known for this amazing album called Demons and Wizards, which is full of magic. My favorite song by them, not only on the album but in general, is The Wizard. And for this very reason, the book I recommend is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Well, it has the wizard, it's your classical adventure, and it's definitely something light. It is definitely the thing the Uriah Heep fans would enjoy. I recommend it. Also, the atmosphere also fits. Burning Witches. So, if you haven't heard of Burning Witches, they are a Swiss band with a Dutch lead singer, and they take inspiration from Manowar and Judas Priest. I discovered Burning Witches in 2021, but I didn't enjoy them that much. But then they released the Dark Tower album. It came out in May this year and I loved it, and I listened to it 3 times and I want to listen to it again. Absolutely atmospheric album. To be honest, given the title of the band, that it deals with the witches that are haunted, I'd simply recommend The Crucible by Arthur Miller. There are no actual witches, but the whole book deals with the witch hunt. Burning Witches and the book about witch hunt. The Crucible. Yes, I read that one, and there's going to be a video soon. Sabaton. Since Sabaton is mostly about history, I'd simply recommend reading Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. Well, because history Yes. Well, also I'm thinking of Art of War by Sun Tzu. Well, they have an album called after that book. Yes. Well, maybe also The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, but let it be Sapiens. Avantasia. Yes, I do listen to Avantasia from time to time. If you like Avantasia, you'd probably like the Tim Burton-esque atmosphere about a character that feels left out and also like to explore different worlds or something like that. And for this, I recommend you Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Yeah, I know that the film is kinda spooky, but it still fits. Iron Maiden. Well, I think that if you like Iron Maiden, you are going to like Faust by Johann Wolfgang Goethe. Oh, it's so hard for me to pronounce that name, because Iron Maiden loves some long poems, epic poems, and Faust is an epic poem which has a very dark themes, just like Iron Maiden does mystical atmosphere, and I'm sure you're going to like this if you are an Iron Maiden fan. Korpiklani. Yes, there used to be a time when I was very into Korpiklani. I listened to them a lot in 2015, and I think their back in 2006 live performance is amazing, especially Pelon Peko. I love that song. You'd think that I'd recommend you some kind of a forest fantasy set in winter or something like that, or something spiritual or whatever, but I have a much interesting choice. So Korpiklani is mostly about drinking, and since they're Finnish, there are also some kind of wintry vibes. And there actually is a book that features alcohol and winter vibes. And the book is The Shining by Stephen King. Oh, let's have the microphone closer. Odd choice maybe doesn't fit the atmosphere, but the elements are the same. Demons and Wizards. Yes, I decided to include them too. And there is the one book that I think of when I think of Demons and Wizards, and the book is Good Omens by Sir Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. Sure, the tone of Good Omens is more comedic, but in both Demons and Wizards and in Good Omens, it's mostly about two guys. And you have this atmosphere of angels and demons and blah blah blah. Okay, I know the band is called Demons and Wizards, not Demons and Angels, but you got the point. Okay, what comes next? Rammstein. Okay, because Rammstein are German, I'm simply going to recommend The Shortest History of Germany by James Hobbs. If Rammstein inspires you to learn German, it can be an inspiration to read this one too. I'm also thinking of Grimm's fairy tales too, but I need to read them. I don't remember them that well. And finally, the last we have Blind Guardian. With these guys, I definitely think I'd recommend nearly all of the books that I have mentioned, but if there's one book I'd recommend to you, that should be The Neverending Story by Mikhail Ende, because The Neverending Story has two elements that Blind Guardian also has, and I love it. The first one is the sense of epic adventure, and there is also some philosophical themes too. It's a good combination to me. And before I finish, I want to mention Blackmore's Night. I want to say that because I am a huge fan of this band, since they're kind of troubadourish band, they resemble some traveling bards, I think the book that would fit them is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. And that's all. These are all the bands and all the books that I would recommend. What's your favorite band and what's the book you would recommend to the fans of the band? Let me know down in the comments. See you next time. Goodbye.